Hey everybody, I'm Holly, aka the Scientologeek, and I know it's late, but welcome to part 13 of the data series. This time we are covering policy 13, which is called Irrationality. Um, Now that everything is done with the unboxings and the OCA analyzed series, I'm not completely sure what I want to do, but I think I have an idea. So I'm going to leave Tuesdays for the data series, so it's going to take a little while longer to get through it. Um, but I do want to make Fridays something special. So I just got a CD in the mail full of flag orders and base orders. Now, for those who don't know, flag orders are orders received by the Sea Org. This is meant purely for Sea Org guys, and I received this from someone named Mark Plummer, aka Warrior in old Usenet groups, if you remember those. But he has been very helpful with a lot of lawsuits against the church, and he was a former Sea Org member from 1990 to 1992. So I would like to make Flag Order Fridays a thing. And granted, there's going to be a lot of them. So we're going to have a lot to go through. A lot of flag orders, a lot of base orders. But I'm excited to have this information because there's not a lot of flag orders out there right now. But other than that, let's just dive right into the video. So let's take a look at the policy letter of the 6th of July, 1970, called Irrationality.
Any and all irrationality is connected to departures from an ideal scene. Therefore, outpoints indicate departures. It must follow then that rationality is connected to an ideal scene. These three assumptions should be studied, observed, and fully grasped. They're very adventurous assumptions at first glance, for if they're true, then one has not only the definition of sanity in an organization or individual, but also of neurosis and psychosis.
I'm not sure how I feel about that one. Because we'd have to look up. Because neurosis and psychosis have set definitions. Neurosis, a relatively mild mental illness that is not caused by organic disease, involving symptoms of stress, which are depression, anxiety, obsessive behavior, hypochondria, but not a radical loss of touch with reality. Okay, so it's mild, but not a complete loss of reality. Now let's see what psychosis is. Psychosis, a severe mental disorder in which thought and emotions are so impaired that contact is lost with external reality. So he's saying that by knowing the rationality of the ideal scene and the irrationality of a departure, you're able to define sanity in an organization or individual, as well as what it means for them to be neurotic and psychotic. One is just a milder form of the other. It's the fact that he's throwing these mental health terms in that I can't completely agree with. I don't believe that. I mean, yes, you can know what sanity looks like. You can know what neurosis and psychosis looks like, but I don't believe that you should be able to apply sanity to an organization as a whole. I understand people can have neurosis and psychosis. People can be sane. I don't believe an entire organization can be considered sane or insane. It's got to depend on the people that are in it. But I don't know. I just don't like the fact that he's applying this to situations. I don't know if it's just me, but the way he's doing it, it's not sitting right.
One also sees that organizations are social groups or companies or any third dynamic. The urge to survival as a group activity can be neurotic or psychotic. It therefore would follow that the technology of the ideal scene, existing scene, departures, outpoints, and statistics would contain or indicate the means of establishing sane groups or individuals or measuring their relative sanity or reestablishing relative sanity in them.
What is relative sanity? Relative to what? Relative to the baseline or relative to something else?
The plague of man. Man has been harassed by irrationality in individual and group conduct since there's been man. The existing scene of man's activities is so immersed in departures and outpoints that at first survey there would seem to be no possible handling of the situation. Most people have accepted the existing conditions as inevitable and tossed them off with a "that's life." This is, of course, an overwhelmed attitude. And it's true that the departure from any ideal is so distant as to obscure any feeling of reality about possibly achieving an ideal scene, even in a limited area. Philosophies exist to prove that chaos is needful to furnish challenge. That is like saying, be glad you're crazy, as 19th century psychologists did say.
I'm not sure if they did. I need a reference for that.
Or, suffering refines one, as the playwrights of the early 20th century so fondly used in their plots.
So, like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? I'm assuming? From my perspective, that's how I took that sentence.
One whole religious order preached the necessity to accept man as he is.
Which religious order?
Thus man is plagued with defeatism, has lacked technology, and civilization after civilization has succumbed, either in a flash of flame in war or in the slow erosion of grinding distress.
That's a freaking lie right there. Man is not plagued with defeatism. If it was defeated, we wouldn't have technology. We have technology. It's not your technology, but it is technology, and it's better than what we had before. Civilizations have crumbled, yes, but civilizations have thrived. Look at China. China's thousands of years old. Granted, America's only a few hundred, but we're still advancing. Society as a whole is still advancing. We're still coming up with better things, better ways to deal with things. I don't think man is plagued with defeatism. I think this is a complete lie.
Most men, it has been said,
Oh, there's that statement.
live lives of quiet desperation.
It's been said by who, Hubbard?
One doesn't have to live through several wars to learn that man and his leaders are something less than sane.
Some politicians are corrupt, yes. Some leaders are corrupt. Some leaders are not sane. But I also believe some are.
Every sword-waving conqueror has exploited man's seeming inability to avoid brotherly slaughter, and no conqueror or army seems to have noticed that wars only rarely shift boundaries no matter how many are killed.
Is he saying that wars don't shift boundaries? Like country boundaries? Because wars can do a hell of a lot, and they have done a hell of a lot.
Europe, for centuries, has excelled in the development of marble orchards and failed remarkably to establish any lasting political scene at all.
They've established quite a political scene. I have no idea what you're talking about.
In other lands, government leaders who should have at least a partial duty of preserving their citizenry have sat raptly listening to the advice of madmen for some centuries now. U.S. leaders lately have taken to acting on the mental health guidance of many civilian committees, each one of which contains at least one member of an organization directly connected to Russia.
Oh, so this is all about the commies. We're still in the Red Scare.
The country most interested in fomenting U.S. civil commotion. Former head of CIA once cracked for a joke, what if there was a Russian KGB agent inside the CIA? The shudder of horror that went through U.S. politicians was interesting to see. Yet every new employee of CIA was vetted before employment by members of two organizations connected to Russia. The American Psychological...
Why is American in quotes?
The American Psychological Association and the American Psychiatric Association are directed by the World Federation of Mental Health, founded by Brock Chisholm, the companion of Alger Hiss and Whittaker Chambers, the famous U.S. communist traders. And the U.S. government pays the WFMH to hold congresses which are attended by Russian KGB delegates, and all intelligence given the president on Vietnam, where the U.S. was fighting communism, was passed through the hands of a man whose parents are both Russian-born communists. And the U.S. Defense Department intelligence on the same war was led and coordinated by another communist-connected employee. So
everything is blamed on the commies. And this is where you see fear-mongering. So let's take a look at the American Psychological Association. Is the largest scientific and professional organization of psychologists in the United States. Founded in Clark University. CEO is Arthur C. Evans Jr., PhD. Okay, so who founded the World Federation of Mental Health? Brock Chisholm was a psychiatrist, one of the leaders in forming the Federation with the goal of creating a representative organization that could consult with the UN on mental health issues. Okay, so he's got that right. the companion of Alger Hiss and Whittaker Chambers, the famous U.S. communist traitors. All right, just because he was companions with communist traitors does not mean he worked with them, does not mean he brought that into his mental health federation. The correlation, not correlation, I should say. I mean, yeah, maybe correlation does not equal causation. Because you're with people who may be communists, that doesn't mean that the association that you're affiliated with is communist. So let's look up Brock Chisholm. He's a Canadian medical practitioner. Alger Hiss. Brock Chisholm. Quotes about psychiatry. I love how the second link is The Fight for Freedom by L. Ron Hubbard. But either way, we will... You know what? I think we'll end here with that commie paragraph. And we will pick it up next time. It's already leading pretty long right now. Thank you guys all for listening or watching. And like if you like the video, dislike if you don't. I don't really care. Comment with your feedback or questions, good, bad, or sideways, and subscribe to be kept up to date on future content. I'll talk to all of you later. See ya.